Hi! Today I'm going to install a steering wheel spacer on my own car, Renault Megane RS. This is the spacer as you're going to receive it, and this is a picture of the finished job. And the same tutorial is going to be right for many other Renault cars, as well as the older Renault Megane, the Twingo, the older Clio. What's gonna change? It's just minor details. First step is to disconnect the battery, and because I am a proud seller of lightweight light blocks battery, I don't need to unplug the connector, but I can do this by Bluetooth. I can simply press that button on the smartphone and the battery is going off. Now you have to purchase a screwdriver, a flat screwdriver, and you grind a C shape at its point and look for the two holes at the sides of the steering wheel, in which insert the screwdriver to find the clamp springs that actuate the airbag unit and free it from the core of the steering wheel itself. I did it on the left, then I did it on the right, and it may happen that when you do on the other side, the first side you did, it's going to lock again, so you have to do more than 2 times. Now that the airbag is pulled out from the steering wheel, you have to disconnect the two connectors. Please use a screwdriver to raise that red security lock, and then you can simply unplug the connectors and store the airbag in a safe place. Now you have to disconnect that main black connector. Is for all the steering wheel buttons. That's very easy to disconnect, and unlock the central bolt that hold the steering wheel in place. Have a friend helping you holding the steering wheel doing this step, and shake a little bit the steering wheel, then gently pull it out from the car, making the wires going inside the slot. Okay, now the steering wheel is off, and we can make a comparison between the steering wheel spacer and the steering wheel. As you can see, the spacer is a replica of the steering wheel core and has its slots to make possible that the plastic parts on the clock spring assembly go freely inside the spacer as they do on the steering wheel. The other side of the spacer replicate the steering column, and the bolt is too short to be reused when you mount the steering wheel spacer. For this reason, we supply in the kit a longer steering wheel bolt, which is going to go across the wall spacer to reach the steering column. This is a detail of the spline machining which make more comfortable to install the spacer, because you don't have to care about keeping your wheels straight during the wall installation, because those tabs on the spline makes impossible that the steering wheel can anyway be inserted off center both in the steering column and in the steering spacer. As you see, the airbag wires are very long and they don't need to be extended. These are the longest wires I ever found on a car. Okay, gently insert the wires in the steering wheel spacer slot. Pay attention that the pin on the clock spring assembly has to stay on top. Gently insert the steering wheel spacer in the steering column, and now with the spacer you're done, it's on the car. You can go on by extending the wires of the steering wheel buttons. Use the provided wiring harness which you will find in the kit, and it has to be connected on one side on the connector which comes from the steering wheel, and on the other side it goes in the clock spring assembly. This one in the video is a bit long because it's for my own car. You will receive a shorter one for your car, which is more practical to use, but I was out of them at the time of the video. Gently make the connector go into the socket, and pay attention not to bend the pins. Now you have to work very close to the steering wheel spacer, because while you insert the airbag wires inside that slot, you may accidentally disconnect the other wires you have connected a few minutes earlier, so be careful about this. Go closer to the steering wheel spacer and use the room inside it to locate the extra wire you have. Then you can insert the steering wheel in the steering wheel spacer and tighten the central longer bolt, which will directly connect the steering wheel to the steering column, and the spacer will be just a spacer in the middle, like the wheel spacers on the cars. Now you have to put back the airbag. First, insert the connectors in their corresponding colored sockets, then press the red security clip. Go in and press. Okay, you're done. Now you have to pre-align the airbag in its housing inside of the steering wheel, and pay attention not to press the wires. They have to stay in the room between the airbag and the steering wheel core. When you feel the pre-alignment is good, a little pressure will be enough to push back the airbag unit in the steering wheel. To make sure everything has gone fine, just press the horn. It should have the same mobility it had before. You can now reconnect the battery. We're going to do it by our smartphone application, and turn on the car and check everything is fine. No warning light should be on. The airbag light should not be on. You see, I have a warning light on, but it's because I have another problem of my car, which is not connected to the spacer. You see that the steering wheel buttons are working, and yes, the stalks must return as before, and the steering wheel must not make any sort of click or noise while rotating. The steering buttons, they all work or they all don't work. If you didn't connect them properly, they are not going to work. Okay, you're done. I had this part for those who have the automatic gearbox, because the paddle shifter are not connected to the steering wheel as usual, but they are connected to the steering column. So after you install the steering wheel spacer, they're gonna be too far away from the steering wheel, and also they are little, so they can't be extended with the usual extension you find on the market, because on the right side they're going to interfere with the radio commands. For this reason, I made those two little 3D extension that makes the whole paddle shifter assemblies come closer to the steering wheel. The extension replicate the same way of mounting of the pivot points of the paddle shifter. You see, on one side they replicate the shape, and on the other side they replicate the shape of the steering column. So you're going to insert them between the steering column, and then you insert the paddle shifter assembly on the extension. Also the way of fixing by the Torx screws is replicated. Same thing on the other side. And a little downside of this whole system is that you have to extend the wires of the paddle shifters and to trim the plastic shrouds of the steering column. But you see that the result is pretty good. You have carried the paddle shifter closer to the steering wheel, and also now you can install the extension on the right side for the paddle shifter, and it's not going to interfere anymore with the radio commands. Okay guys, enjoy all our parts, and we'll see us in the next video.